O mountains of Mecca, bear witness that to the oneness of Allah do I testify. For all that He's given me, how can I deny? My purpose in life should be only to cry, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is no God but Allah. Muhammad is His messenger. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is no God but Allah. Muhammad is His messenger. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad Rasulillah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad Nabi Allah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad Rasulillah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad Rasul of Allah.
So at that time, did you have to keep that belief to yourself, or was that publicly known?
No, I kept it to myself. I never wanted to preach and disturb anybody, okay? But when I got out, my friends, they say, you're different, and you don't talk like the rest of us. So they said, why? So I had to tell them. I said, because I don't accept Mr. Farad as God. I said, if Jesus Christ is not God, then how can Mr. Farad be God, you know? They got the word back to my father, and I had to be called into question.
But let me ask you,
and there was a court. There was a court.
Oh, okay. Now tell me about that. There was a court?
The same court that I
Okay.
told you about earlier.
And
There was a court for
and what did
handling,
they charge you with?
handling all infractions, you know. Yeah. So I was charged. Well, my father presided as he would over serious matters, and Supreme Captain Raymond Sharif was sitting there to witness what was going on. And he's the one who brought the charges from some brother, okay? And he said, my father said, well, son, you are charged with not believing in our Savior. I said, Daddy, I say, I recognize him as your Savior. And he got angry right away. My Savior? He's your Savior. Do you think you would have the life you have now if it wasn't for him? I said, no. I said, it came through you, Daddy, you know. He said, well, who is God then? Who is Allah? My father said to me. I said, Daddy, you know better than I do because you have the Quran. He didn't teach it. He was told not to teach it by his teacher, Mr. Farad. I said, you have the Quran. So it ended up with him rejecting me, putting me out, excommunicating me.
Oh, really? Really? But let me ask you, Abain, if I can just digress a bit. I mean, at this time, was Malcolm X one of your contemporaries at that time in that thinking, or did he arrive to that before or after you?
Malcolm X had been in the organization since about 1951 or 52, I think. So he definitely was there, and he was very popular. He was a very popular spokesperson, national spokesperson for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He hadn't got in trouble at that time.
Okay, so actually you got in trouble before him for this same issue of when he also...
Well, that wasn't his trouble.
What is it?
No. His trouble was that he made public the private affairs of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad with his secretaries that he called his wife. He said his wives.
Right.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad identified these women as his wives, but Malcolm spoke publicly about it and said that they were young girls that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was having babies by, to put it the way he put it. Now, how did that happen? Why did he do something like that? Because he felt himself in trouble as a leader of the Nation of Islam. He felt that the national staff was out to get rid of him. That is, to undermine him as a leader and discredit him so he wouldn't have leadership in the Nation of Islam. He was convinced of that. And I know of developments in the national body, national leadership body, that were going on, and Malcolm was not too suspicious. He was correct. He was correct. They were out to get rid of him. So at that point, he started to not be as obedient as he was before as a preacher and a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So he was told to not to, you know, the President John Kennedy,
right.
John F. Kennedy, he was assassinated. And all the ministers were told not to even mention that assassination. Malcolm did. He said it was a case of the chickens coming home to roost. That's his exact words, you know. And when my father heard of it, he suspended his activities for 90 days. During the 90 days, the national staff was working hard to discredit Malcolm, saying terrible things about him, calling him Judas, etc.
And I mean, these things you heard yourself?
I witnessed myself.
Okay.
Yes, either reading the paper, our paper, the Nation of Islam paper, Muhammad Speaks paper, or hearing it from other ministers, hearing what was going on. And some of the things I witnessed myself, yes.
Okay.
So anyway, during his suspension, he continued to do things that he was told not to do. So then he was cut off completely, and enemies surface. He and his work is the enemy of Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his work. That's how it started. But during that time, when he was being suspected, he told everybody that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has babies by his secretaries.